Hey everybody, my name is Scott Shinall. We'll do a more formal intro in just a minute, but if we end up with some sound from the outside, I apologize for that. The pseudo studio here is not quite as soundproof as I would like, so please bear with me if we end up with something from outside. If it's real bad, I'll re-record it, but hopefully we'll get it on the first try. Here we go. So the first thing I want to start with is a little bit of an agenda, so you know what we have coming. First up, we have greetings and salutations from me. So greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Scott Shinall. I am currently working at Kansai Gaidai University. I am an Apple Distinguished Educator, so a lot of the stuff that I talk about is Apple specific, but there's lots of ways to do things. And if you are a Windows person, no problem. If you, I get it. Some people don't like Apple, so we will work around that. But my minute is about up, so let's move on to the next thing. The main thing, one of the main focuses of this speech is our presentation is talking about streamers, what they do, and how we can steal from them, because some of them have some very good ideas. So we're going to talk about streamers for about 4 minutes or so, and hopefully we'll find some things that you'll be able to latch hold of. The main chunk of this is going to be talking a little bit about gear, and I know not everybody's excited about gear like I am, but gear is fun to talk about, and I really want to focus on that everything that I'm going to talk about today is doable and not impossible, and you can do it, and don't even worry about it. You're going to be fine. Okay, here we go. And the last 5 minutes or so will be set up for questions. If I go a little bit over, then we'll see if we can steal some time from the break. All right. Also, for the video presentation here, you won't have the opportunity to specifically ask me questions, but I'm going to try to figure out some way that you can get your questions to me, and I can get them back to you. So probably it'll end up being email, but we'll see. All right. So that's the agenda for the talk, and let's move on. So today we're going to be talking about stealing from streamers, because streamers have some really good ideas, and the main thing that we are fighting against is this preconception that we have of streamers, of people playing video games and stuff like that. But that's really not completely all of the case. There are a lot of people who play games, but there's also people like that virtual YouTuber there, and that is a live sort of thing. There's a camera that tracks their movements, and they come out as a anime or cartoon character, and they do their stream that way. But the main thing I really want to emphasize is that streamers are available, or are doing pretty much every category you can think of now, and every genre you can think of. So there's things like fashion, there's things like beauty, there's things like business, even with personal training and cooking, video editing, audio editing too, photography edit. People will just do a stream of them editing a photo and interacting with the people that are watching their stream. So basically, so if somebody has an interest in it, if somebody likes doing something, there's somebody that is going to be streaming it, and they're going to be streaming it probably for hours a day. They find audiences, not always huge audiences, but they have audiences, and those people come and watch them and interact with them and ask them questions as they go along, a lot like a classroom. So there's plenty of things that we can get from streamers, and I'm not going to give you recommendations on which streamers to watch, but get out there and go through a bunch of them, because we can find things that streamers do that engage us, and we want to find those things and steal them so that we can implement them and capture that level of engagement in our classes. So now we want to talk a little bit about gear. This is some of the stuff that you may need if we end up going back to remote over the next year, or even if you want to capture some aspect of your class that you have to do the same thing the same way over and over again, year after year. Using these ideas, you can just make one video of it and then have that available for students to do. So this is a broad overview. Got a mic, got a camera, got some other stuff sitting there, and I'm going to talk about each one individually. Let's start with the microphone. Because microphones absolutely are necessary. The one on your laptop or the one on your computer, the one that it came with is not good enough. You really want to get a better microphone. This one is by a company called Blue. This is a Yeti. But they also make a thing called the Snowball, which is just like literally looks like a snowball, but most of the ones now I see are black, but that's fine. Color doesn't matter. This company is very good. They make dynamic microphones that are USB powered. You just plug it in and basically it works no matter what system you're using. There are other companies. I like Rode mics, but there's as much as you want to pay. That's how much you can pay. This particular Yeti is only about 2 mon, maybe 1.5 mon. The Snowball is less than 1 mon and super portable and pretty easy to use. There are lots of different styles. Dynamic are what most of the USB mics are. Condenser is what I'm using right now, so it gives you a little bit different tone, and probably you could hear the motorcycle go by. But there's also things like a shotgun microphone that you can have set up so that it's not in the frame of your camera, or a lavalier mic, which clips to your collar and picks up the information that way. That one, there are wired and wireless versions of those. I really don't encourage anybody to use wireless. Wireless is great if you want to do a stand-up outside, no problem. But you don't want to use it for the classroom because they get complicated. The other thing related to the microphone that I think people really need to do is get a set of headphones. Seriously, just get some. And I love cars. Motorcycles. Anyway, getting the headphones, wear them, because that way you can hear what you're saying, and you can hear what's coming through the computer from your students, and you won't have any feedback loops or anything like that. It's just better. It also separates the sound that is in your room from what's going on the computer as well. So in some cases, it'll prevent feedback. Just get some. Don't worry about it. If your students are in a noisy area, then tell them to move. But you definitely want to get headphones, and you definitely want to use them. All right. And that really wraps up microphones. So the next main thing that we want to talk about are the cameras. The camera that came with your computer possibly is okay, but it's a little low. So you really want to get something up and away from your machine so that you can have a better eye-line contact with the lens itself. This one is a Logitech. I believe it's a Brio, but it might be the new version of the C120. I can't remember off the top of my head. In Japan, Logitech is called Logicool because they were slow in getting their trademark for the name. So if you're making a company, make sure you get the names in all the places. Personally, I use a Canon DSLR. I use an M50, which is a $300 to $500 DSLR, which means it's got that interchangeable lenses. It has a USB out and it plugs right into my computer, and I didn't want to clean my room, so I'm not showing the live video of this at this point. Sony also makes great cameras that can be used as webcams. Almost all of their entire line, you can just plug a USB into it, and it will function as a webcam. I can't vouch for Lumix or Olympus or any of the other brands. They may be great. I've heard good things about Lumix, but I'm not entirely sure which models of that Panasonic camera can be used as webcams. So if you have experience with it, please let me know. I'll be happy to hear what your review is. A good camera generally doesn't require, but I highly recommend good lights. You don't need to go crazy on the lights, but something that's going to make sure that there's enough light in the room so you don't have weird shadows on your face or anything like that. There's lots of options. We can talk about that later if you are interested. So the next up is the backgrounds. Don't sit in front of a window for sure, but that black cloth there is only about 2,000 yen on Amazon, and it takes care of most of the problems. Just make sure that you sit a little bit away from it. Don't like lean on it or anything like that. Get about 50 centimeters in front of it, and then your camera. Be nice to have lights, and you will look amazing. So, but one of the main things that we want to do with our setup is make sure that we have a clean, simple, inviting background. The black works because it's super generic, and you're not going to have anything in the background that distracts you. So the layout she has a shotgun mic on the camera, and she's using, looks like it's a Sony, for the camera. But if you look at her background, it fits with what she's going to do. She's kind of doing just a talk to the camera sort of thing. She might have a cooking show, but there's a lot of good options there. Just make sure it's clean, make sure it's simple, uncluttered, and inviting. The more stuff you have in the background, the more people will try to see what the name of the book is or anything like that. It's a lot less to keep track of. So that's with the backgrounds. Those, I would stick with either blue or green. The green, you can green screen things out, and if you use a virtual camera or virtual background, that's fine, but the green will help separate you from everything else, and it'll give the computer, you can use a little weaker computer for it. If you do want to use a virtual background, you really need a pretty good computer. So it's up to you, but try to keep it simple and uncluttered, and you'll have a pleasant video to look at. All right, so the next thing we want to do is talk a little bit about how to control all this stuff. This is the logo for OBS. It is the Open Broadcaster software, and it is available on all flavors of machines. So you can get something that will work for your situation. This sits between your computer and your broadcast. It goes in before it lets you control what's on the screen through Zoom, and then what goes out to Zoom, whether it's audio or video or presentations or anything like that. It's free. It's available for all systems. When you first put it in, it looks incredibly intimidating, but it's really not so difficult. But it is a really good way to pre-order your class. It's basically just a way to have good class prep for it. And most of the streamers use this particular software. The next thing I want to talk about is a way to control OBS, and that's where the Stream Deck comes in. The Stream Deck is a very powerful one-button push. Each button does a different thing, and so if you want to change the background that you have, you can do it with one press on the Stream Deck. You can bring up information that you've as like a presentation or points that you want to talk about. You can bring in audio effects. You can bring in all kinds of different things. And the nice thing about the Stream Deck is it lets you have a control panel that isn't your keyboard, that shows you pictures of what you want to do. So all of those labels on all of those buttons are changeable. And it's super convenient for running a stream. And just recording the stream out to your whatever software you're using for your broadcast. So the granddaddy that I think most people are using is Zoom. This is from the Zoom website. Most people are using Zoom. Some people are using Teams. Others are using WebEx. And I'm sure there's a ton of different different software, broadcasting software that is being used. So the OBS sits in front of Zoom, and then OBS controls what Zoom sees and then what Zoom sends out. For streams that aren't in school and work similar to OBS, Ecamm is one, StreamYard is another broadcasting service. HAPS is one that I believe up until recently has been free. I think it still is. But YouTube and Twitch are also available for you. And what I do is I'll record a video to YouTube and then have it set as unlisted. And then my students, I just send them a link and my students can access it. And it works pretty well. All right, so that's the main stuff. But one of the other things that I think is really important is to have some sort of video editing software. And what we have here is iMovie, Final Cut Pro, and that last one is probably new to some people. It's DaVinci Resolve. They are famous for color correction, stuff like that, but they have a very good nonlinear editor or video editor. And it's super convenient to use. It is free, and iMovie is free with a Mac. Final Cut Pro is a little pricey at about 3.7 Mon. So it costs about $350 in the U.S., but I bought it years ago, and I've never had to pay anything else for it. No yearly updates on it that cost extra money or anything else. I use these for recording things like how to format the paper for my classes, an intro to APA, things like that. The goal for me is to have this repetitive thing that I do every year that I can just throw up the video, and it's not going to change much from year to year. And students can come in, use that, and get the information when they come to class. They should know the material already, and then they can ask me questions about how to do it. Very flipped classroom. Students watch it at home, bring the questions to class. Also, Keynote. This video is done entirely in Keynote, including the questions, although I'm going to have to go back and cut out a spot where I had a coughing fit, but that's all right. You didn't hear it, I hope. All right, so this was entirely done in Keynote. Everything, all of the stuff was all in Keynote, and all of the stuff moves around from Keynote and based on stuff like that. So let's see, before I get into question time, the videos that I used in this presentation were from Storyblocks. The product photos were from either the press or media pages of each company. So I went and visited them and used their stuff. For other questions, keep an eye on the site, and I will set up a email that you'll be able to send and ask me questions. So thank you very much. You guys have been great, I assume. You all have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.